During the 2011 Drug Awareness Week, students were involved in a wide range of activities to promote drug awareness. There were speakers.
The thing about drugs is that they take over your body.
In 1981, on Valentine's Day, we received a phone call from England, from my father-in-law, to tell me that my father had been killed the night before.
Drugs give you no future.
One bad choice doesn't make a life, but a lot of bad choices you can end up pretty lonely and pretty desperate.
A poster contest, student research projects, and stage performances.
I'd like to welcome everybody here, our guests and community and our judges, for the 3rd annual Sprucecourt.
How many people know what a drug is? Okay. Are there any good drugs? Yes. A drug is basically something that you put into your body that alters the way your body works. Now there's good drugs and there's bad drugs. How many people know what a bad drug might be?
Let's say something like steroids or something?
Steroids, absolutely.
When you are doing sports, then you could take steroids to make you faster and better at the sport. You could be strong, but then you could have acne, and also you could get like less hair on your head.
People who do sports and they use steroids just to like win races and to be way more stronger than the others. They're not good role models. It's because they're cheating, and they're not telling anybody that they're using steroids because they just want to win.
Crossing the road, and they were only one step. It just needed one more step to be on the sidewalk. But a young man came down the road, and it turned out that he was 19 years old. He was driving way too fast, but he'd also been drinking too much alcohol. The young man hit my dad and his friend, and because the car hit him first, he was killed, and the other gentleman was injured.
When you're drinking and driving, you become impaired, and so you can't see very well, and it's like you lose your senses.
When you drink too much alcohol, you could have something called a hangover.
It can make you like crazy and not conscious of yourself.
I remember being in grade 5, and I was very against smoking. I don't know how many of you guys think cigarettes are bad, but I was so against smoking. I used to have a poster on my wall that had a healthy lung and a smoker's lung, and I always believed, I'll never smoke. And then by the time I got to grade 8, it changed. I went, well, cigarettes aren't that bad. I think maybe I'll have a cigarette or try a cigarette. You know, some of my friends were trying it. Didn't seem like a big deal. You know, people said you get addicted instantly. I had one, and then it would be a month, 2 months before I had another cigarette, and I never really worried too much about it.
When you smoke or do something like that, it makes you have lung cancer and you could die. When somebody's smoking, the smell also comes to you, and it's not good for you.
Cigarettes, they lead you to other drugs like heroin and marijuana.
See those movies, and it's like, wow, it gives you ideas and imaginations of like so much inspiration, so much things that you can do in life. You have so many choices. But the choices that were around me weren't that good. I came across some pretty bad choices which landed me on the streets. I was begging for change. I was squeegeeing windows. I ended up using drugs and using crack. And to feed my addiction, I ended up doing things I never thought I would do. I never thought I'd be sitting on a corner outside of McDonald's begging somebody for a last quarter. finally decided that, you know what, this is enough. I've had enough. I want to be that little girl that had a dream before. And when I walked away, you know, then people said, can we help you now? And I said yes. And when I took that help, it led me forward and showing me choices that were good for me.
So I got told by my boss, who's the Minister of Education, if you're the Minister of Education, that means you're in charge of all the schools in Ontario. And we know Ontario is a pretty big place, right? You can start in the morning and drive all day, and you still won't be out of the province of Ontario. That's how big Ontario is. Lots of schools, but where the best thing I think is happening today is right here in this school at Sprucecourt, where you've got some fantastic presentations that I'm going to judge. I'm going to judge with the other judges here, and we're going to pick out which one of the presentations are the ones that are the best. That's a job that a judge has. And you know, sometimes we get messages from older people, and we expect younger people to listen to them. And I found over the years that often the messages that come from younger people get listened to by younger people much more easily, and you pay more attention to them. So today we're going to hear presentations from your own classmates that are going to tell you why it's so important that we say yes to creativity and we say no to drugs. And how about if at the end of this, Sprucecourt became the best school in the whole province of Ontario when it comes to not doing drugs? Wouldn't that be something to be proud of? Yeah? Well, let's see if we can make that happen.
The original form of caffeine is actually white powder, and it's a bitter tasting drink that people usually use to wake them up so that they don't get tired. If you're tired and you drink caffeine, you will have more energy and you will stay awake for a longer time.
Average person's dose of caffeine is 600 mg.
But we cannot.
Kilograms. So if we take more than that, our body will like overreact.
Shake, and it will shake, like, and we won't be able to stop.
We will get the jitters, headaches, restlessness, nervousness, difficulty in sleeping, and a flushed face.
But we cannot evade caffeine, because in everyday life we have to eat caffeine because it includes in our food we eat.
Right now we're working on a project to make a Jeopardy game.
We were just going to stand in front of the camera and talk a little bit about cocaine, but then our teacher told us to make it a bit more creative. So then what we thought maybe a game would be creative because nobody was doing a game and they're all doing posters and one comic book. So we thought maybe, well, a film is already pretty creative, but then to make it a bit more interesting, we did a game.
They get to choose the questions, and if nobody gets the answer, we'll tell them the answer live.
Each team will get 10 seconds to answer the question. If no team can answer the question, no points will be handed out. True or false? Is this drug addictive?
Well, we're working on anabolic steroids. It's a drug that makes you look stronger and feel stronger.
Sam is out of the track and field team for using anabolic steroids. What should have I done?
You should be exercising and eating healthy instead of using anabolic steroids to cheat.
You're right. I never thought about that. Credits.
Regent Park say no to drugs, storytellers.
Make the right choice.
Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, where were you?
Our lesson ran a bit late.
What was your lesson about?
Drugs.
What? They are so surprised that their child is learning about drugs.
Tell me why you're learning about drugs. Why are you teaching Christina about drugs at such a young age?
Well, the students have many influences through media,
video games, TV shows, music videos, where they're shown that taking drugs are cool. So I'm not really teaching them about drugs. I'm more teaching them about how to be creative and active so that they can have healthy bodies and healthy minds and steer their interests where they're going to feel good about themselves and therefore not make those kinds of choices.
Our culture doesn't believe that we should allow our children to learn about drugs at such a young age, but now I understand by learning about drugs, children will know the bad effect and they will not take drugs.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
Whoa. We walk alone, 'cause we did drugs. We lived and smoked some marijuana. We had no home, but we wanna hope. Why did we do drugs? Don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do it. Was the worst decision of my life. Don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do. I should have played hockey with my friend. My brain is dizzy and my legs are fizzy. Why can't I even walk straight? Thanks for listening, now it's time to go. I hope that you got the message. And if you didn't, then here it is. Put down the drugs.
School's out, it's summertime. I know a girl and now she weren't mine. I think about her but she's my best friend's girl. Whoa, he doesn't know what's on my mind. He doesn't know she's with me tonight. She tells me everything, we go out everywhere. I know it's wrong when I don't care, 'cause she's my best friend's girl. Now I'm living in my best friend's world, 'cause she's the only one.
So Diego, you are here at Sprucecourt Public School to promote drug awareness. How important do you think that is to you to promote drug awareness and a healthy lifestyle for, children and youth and students?
Well, it's very important to me because me myself, I'm a musician, and if I want to sing and perform and try to pursue this when I'm older, it's going to be hard if I were to do drugs because it would just lead me to a whole nother road that I really don't need to be with, and it's just unhealthy.
Your job is to be an ambassador for saying no to drugs, and you say no to drugs because drugs give you no future. But when you say no, then your future is amazing.
You guys go to school, you guys know when there's a negative opportunity presented. But there are so many positive ways, and you guys all have those sparks, the painting, the rock collecting, the Twilight reading, whatever it is, and use that.
Don't be afraid to say no and stand up for what you believe in, because at the end of the day, that's who you are, and the choices you choose will determine who you are as a person later.
Say no to drugs.
Say no to drugs.
And say yes to peace.
Say yes to peace.
Don't take drugs because it's really bad and it's not a good thing for your health, and it can cause you to die really early.
You should never take drugs, and if you do, you should stop doing it because it will never get you anywhere you want to go.
Drugs are not my thing.
Everyone has choices, so when you have if you have a big decision to make, please make the right one, and if you're gonna make the wrong one, please think before you do it.
RPTV was brought to you by the Regent Park Focus Youth Media Arts Center.